that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is not our light, it is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine, as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it's in everyone.
Everybody.
It's in everyone.
Everyone.
It's in everyone.
Yes.
And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same.
Yes.
As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people the permission to do the same.
I give you permission.
I give you. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Well, I would like to thank you for definitely sitting down with me.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Definitely. I am Brittany, the CEO of EMS, and you are?
Briana Oldham.
Briana Oldham.
Regular.
Regular old Briana Oldham.
Regular old Briana Oldham.
Well, tell me, Briana, because you don't seem so regular to me. Let me know a little bit of your background. I know that you're in college. What are you studying?
I am currently in school for journalism with a concentration in public relations.
Okay.
I have a minor in psychology.
Okay.
I've been to Eastern Michigan for a few years, and right now I am attempting to finish up here and there.
Okay.
I work for U.S. Bank Home Mortgage. Like I said, I thought I was pretty regular until about a week ago.
I was in attendance at your vigil this past Thursday.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me, even though you didn't invite me personally, but I showed up, and
Yes.
It was at the library downtown, right?
Yes,
So-
it was.
So give me a little backdrop about what inspired you to unite and organize this event.
Well, I am a huge social media head. Everything, all things Twitter. And Feminista Jones, at Feminista Jones, she writes for Essence Magazine,
Right.
Ebony, and she's just a really huge activist in her community. She's
Right.
really for women's rights,
Right.
but she's for the people's rights, and
Right.
that's what I like about her.
Right.
She actually got this movement started
Right.
with the National Moment of Silence, and just really wanted us to, through silence, as opposed to what we've seen in Ferguson,
Right.
just show our solidarity and remembrance for Michael Brown and
Okay.
other victims of
Okay.
police brutality.
Okay. Well, definitely I want to thank you and commend your efforts.
Thank you.
I was in the front of towards the tail end of your vigil, and describe to me your reaction. Number one, did you think you were going to have such a big turnout?
Yeah, it was a lot more people than I thought.
I'm sure. I saw a lot of people come and speak. Now, did you plan those people who voiced their emotions and feelings about it?
No, and I think that is one of the things that really catapulted the event to the next level.
Right.
Because it wasn't forced. It was
Right.
like, hey, you have something you want to bring, something you want to say, something
Right.
you want to get off your chest, and people felt comfortable
Right.
with the environment we kind of created with each other,
Right.
that they could share those things.
Right.
We had some really dope lyricists who, spit for us toward the very end.
Right.
We had the president of the NAACP chapter here in Cleveland
Right.
out. We had the director of the NAACP as well. And I mean, just to have those connections and networking opportunities is great, but for them to show their support
Right.
of someone, just me, a regular individual, really
Right.
helping to get this together. We had upwards of over 150 people.
Right.
And it was outside of the Cleveland Library because I attempted to get the free stamp initially,
Right.
but I know that there are protocols you have to follow and measures in place for a reason. And when I was told that I could not get a permit to gather there, I left it alone.
Right.
So, there were other people who did still go ahead and meet there. But to me, that's a deterrent. That's how we get ourselves in these situations sometimes. And I'm not going to put my foot in my mouth and saying so. We are in charge of our own destiny.
Right.
And sometimes, with things that happen nowadays, it's almost what could I have done
I know
differently.
that you just mentioned you're really huge social media
Yeah.
buff, and how
Yes.
did you use that to spread your word of
Oh my
number
gosh.
one, the the victim, Michael Brown, and your vigil? How did you use that to
That
as a resource?
was a huge catalyst. I mean, that hashtag took
Right.
off, and I ended up making my page public because it had been private. And you know, unbeknownst to me, I'm like, well, now I'm getting all these retweets and followers and people reaching out to me, and I'm like, light bulb. Then you
Right.
know, that's the way to get it out there.
Right.
So I was so glad I did that. It's still public, by the way, @ Breezy E Baby. But that is my platform now.
Right.
I'm
Right.
using the National Moment of Silence 14 hashtag, also the Cleveland hashtag, so people know this isn't, you know, just
Right.
an event, you know, clear across the country. This is here, right here in
Right.
our own city.
Right.
We started a Facebook page as well.
Mhm.
That was in conjunction with the National Moment of Silence 14. They had like a home page, and then every city that participated had a
Okay.
page. And I mean, through that, again, because that was public, people were actually sharing that event. They were, you know, I even heard people drove up from like Worcester and Akron, and I'm
Right.
like, that's amazing to me. I wasn't expecting that, but it was all in the name of, you know, having gotten that message out via social media. Definitely Twitter, 1,000%, and then Facebook helped tremendously as well.
Great. Now being an attendee of your vigil, I'm really big on observations, and
Yeah.
scanning the crowd, I noticed that it was so diverse
Absolutely,
between
I thought that was
ages and everything. It was
Yeah.
like there was a wiser woman
yes,
who spoke,
yes.
and she kind of shared some of her stories from
Yeah.
the past and her fight.
I thought that was, I'm getting chills right now, and it's not just the air being on.
Right.
Thinking about that, I stood next to her and heard about, you know, she mentioned being from Alabama.
Right.
And I'm like, and she's like, oh, you know, this is what we had to go through.
Right.
You know, don't let it be in vain. Police officers cannot get away with this.
Right.
And even though we had that message of, you know, mourning the victims and remembering Michael Brown's life, it's also, that's another huge piece of it.
Right.
That we don't want to omit or just not address. The
Right.
police in this have not done what they need to do, and that's protect.
That is.
So hearing her say that, but hearing it from her experience,
Right.
it was indescribable.
Right.
Black people,
Right.
Caucasian people, Japanese people. I was so glad it wasn't a black issue. It's
Exactly.
not.
Exactly.
It's a human issue.
Yeah.
This was a young boy who was murdered in cold blood, hands up. That's been proven.
Yes.
For what? Nobody can tell me. Nobody can justify what this happened because of.
Right.
Whatever kind of character we want to say he had or was, does not justify what took place.
Right.
And again, because I felt so strongly about that, I didn't care if it was just me out there standing
Right.
with the billboard. I was going to definitely let it be known that I felt something about it, because
Right.
to me, feeling something and not doing anything is just like feeling nothing.
Yeah, and I think it's important for people to know that even though this was an African American child, oppression doesn't have a color.
No, not at all.
In America, it's regardless if you're black, white, purple, blue,
Absolutely.
if you have money or if you don't. And overseas, it has nothing to do with color. It's all about religion, and so I felt that the fact that the crowd was really diverse,
Yeah.
it meant a lot, because people think that this fight is a black versus white fight.
Yes.
And even though the media is skewing it to one side, that it is black versus white, it really isn't.
No, it's not. I mean, it is an issue that is very prevalent in our community.
Right.
It's something that we've seen a lot of, but I completely agree. It is not a black versus white issue. Yeah, we may have had a couple people, but there were quite a few
Right.
people in the audience or in that crowd who weren't of color.
Right.
And to me, that spoke volumes.
It did.
It really, really
Part
did.
of a couple different rallies per se. How would you differentiate your vigil from other rallies that either partook on that day or in the
It's
past?
supposed to be a moment of solidarity, representing a unified front. We had a total of 119 vigils that took place that day, all at the same time,
Right.
across different time zones. The state of Hawaii was even involved. It was 43 states out of the 50 that we ended up having participate. and they were vigils. And let me speak more importantly about what I organized. It was a vigil because rally, protest, boycott, demonstration, those incite different feelings when you hear them.
Right.
And those weren't necessarily the feelings I wanted to bring about when organizing this event.
Right.
What tugged on my heartstrings and what made me really want to get involved was the fact that, again, this young man may not have been, you know, an A-plus student, but had graduated and was supposed to start college on Monday. Put an end to this, so there are no more Michael Browns, no more Eric Gardners. Like, I cannot stress that enough. So to me, in differentiating between a vigil that we had and other rallies or protests that may be going on, we're not going to talk about the police so much. We're not going to make that the center of our focus because it's not. You know, we understand that that's an issue and we will address that when the time comes. But more importantly, firstly, let's just remember this young son, this young brother, this young friend, this young man who is no longer with us because he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. You know, still nothing that anyone can tell me, and I will fight this good fight and argue people up a wall. There's nothing that you can tell me that will justify him being slain like that by the police. Show, you know, we're walking down the street, me, you, Joe Schmo, and whomever else, and at least out of the 5 of us, you know, we're either targets or have been targeted. You know what I mean? So if you know anyone, if you yourself have been a victim, or if you witnessed anything, if you've been a part of anything, those are the faces that I think are genuine, are sincere, and usually not want to help more, but that's their platform because they've been through it, because they know someone, because they feel something. And the only way I can really get people to participate, you know, just really come out, young, old, black, white, just wrong is wrong. And without all the pageantry and cool lines, you know, dope sayings, wrong is wrong. And if you feel like something is wrong and you want something to be done about it, or even if you're not sure what you can do or what steps you can take, those are the people we want to come. Those are the people we want at the call to action. You're not sure where to go from here. I wasn't sure what to do. I wasn't sure who to reach out to. It just kind of all fell into place. And now I'm on a continual moving train that will not stop because I've had that experience. So, you know, hop on board. We can help each other out. You know, we can move forward together. But I think it's vital that we get, like you said, these new faces here, because our elders, our leaders who've been in this community, who've been pillars of our community for so long, they are dying. They are getting old. They are, you know, not as mobile, not as vocal. Not all of them, but some. And regardless, this is something that's not just plaguing people from the 60s, 50s, 40s, 30s on, or 70s, 80s on. This is affecting us right now. It's a human issue going on right now. So get involved in whatever capacity that you can, even if you're unsure, because that uncertainty may be the best thing for you. But I mean, I want people who understand how much this really affects us. I'm scared for my sister. She's 12. And doesn't look it, got legs for days, you know, she's not really shapely, but I look at her and I think, I don't know what the future holds. She's so bright, involved in so much, really good kid, very smart. We just found out she's going to be in all advanced placement classes for the 7th grade, a couple
Congratulations.
weeks. And when I hate to say it, when white America sees her though, they don't see that. They don't know that. That's not something that is tangible. Hey, I'm in advanced placement. Hey, I play the violin. Hey, you know, I'm one of the few black faces in my class. They don't know that. They see tall, curly hair, dark-skinned, young woman. That's what they see. But in their minds, obviously, with what we've seen, that translates into something else. I really encourage people, if you feel something, if you know anyone, if you yourself have been victim to anything, any kind of prejudice, injustice, let that be what you use to just get involved.
Right, right. You mentioned it's a human issue. I was watching a broadcast or publication on PBS, and it was the founder of the Weathermen, which was an activist group in the 60s, 70s, 80s. They kind of had a little run, and they had to go underground because they were so, their tactics of activism was a little radical, they would say. So they destroyed properties, governmental properties, to get the word out.
Right.
But when he was being interviewed, he was really being attacked, really. But he's now a professor at Columbia, I believe, him and his wife. But he said that, which is going to stick with me for the rest of my life, he said, if you're American, you're only 5% American. You are 100% human. So we should be concerned about humanity and not American liberties. Think that our fight, being in our generation, is we can do a lot just by using social media. You said that you use Twitter, Instagram, Facebook to promote National Moment of Silence and your call to action. How do you feel social media, what role do you feel that they've played in just the coverage of Ferguson and what's going on in the South?
I think we have reached the masses, first of all, in just planning the vigils.
Right.
Again, that was all, a couple people, one person in particular, Feminista Jones, who just orchestrated this whole thing via Twitter. That's mind-boggling to me. It blows me away because, we hear the slander and we hear people slam the social networks, and it's usually people who don't really understand them, and that's fine.
Right.
But then you see something like this. You see what the positive outcome was, what a huge, just, oh my goodness, it got the word out there like you wouldn't even believe.
Right.
In terms of coverage of Ferguson and what's going on there, I truly feel like if it wasn't for social media, there would be a very one-sided, inaccurate depiction of what's going on there.
Agreed.
Very one-sided.
Right.
I watched CNN last night, and the clip is floating around on Vine and every other social network right now, but Rosemary, and I did not catch her last name, is an international journalist on CNN. She has an accent, so I'm not really sure where she's from. But her and her colleague, who was African-American, an African-American male, were doing coverage in absence of the live coverage. They got disconnected and they couldn't film there anymore because they said it was unsafe, although we witnessed that there was nothing going on that made the area where they were unsafe, but they still made all the media, relocate. So we went back to the newsroom, the news desk, and she actually said that they should have just deployed water cannons. Oh, like we saw in the 60s where people's, like all their hair was being taken out of their heads with the powerful force of the water hose. Like I'll never, those images that I saw, that I learned, that I self-taught, that I was told about from people in my family and, my mom, those images are burned in my head.
Right.
So to hear you in 2014 say that to deploy those measures would be better than the tear gas that they used, when in all actuality, neither of those extreme measures for such a small group that was out last night needed to even be taken.
Right.
I'm amazed.
Right.
You want to kick Stephen A. Smith off for what he had to say, his own personal opinion about, violence and battery and things of that nature, especially as it pertains to athletes or just in general. You want to kick him off the air. But Miss Rosemary was able to sit behind a CNN desk and say that, water cannons would have sufficed.
I I'm sorry to cut you off, but I posed a question on Twitter.
Mhm.
I'm a big Twitter and Instagram head, and I use those to promote whatever's going on.
Yes,
at the
absolutely.
Time. So whatever, like you said, if you feel, I will blast it and
Yes.
post it and retweet it
Mhm.
until people start unfollowing me.
Yeah.
Because they get tired of seeing it.
Yep.
Well, you should never be tired of what's going on.
No.
Right? So I posed a question maybe a couple days ago, right when the violence started breaking out in Ferguson and the
Right.
looting had become unbearable to.
Right. Curfews ensued.
I posed, is it better to use water hoses and dogs or tear gas and rubber bullets? What's more effective? Because right now we're facing the same issues that we've always faced, and neither measures from the police work. Actually, it angered the people even more.
Absolutely.
And it incited more violence.
Let me tell you, when I this morning, and my girlfriend works out, so she usually when she gets up, I'll try and go back to sleep. I couldn't even sleep because all I had on my mind was the CNN coverage. So I took, of course, I wake up like you read the New York Times or
Right.
USA Today. I woke up to right to Twitter.
Right.
I listened to 20 minutes. I'm not going to play it for you now. I would love for you to hear it. 20 minutes of audio from a journalist who was live there. Bone chilling. Of course, you know, I don't understand in what world that we live that you don't even care about the journalists who are trying to bring this to light. One, we know why.
What?
We know why you
Right.
don't. But they were even under attack. And to hear him say all these things, like to hear the audio, hear them running, hear them coughing, hear them helping people. Give me your goggles. I'll give you my goggles. I'll give you my scarf that I had. I'll give, you know, here's milk to help with the tear gas. Like, I was mortified.
Right.
Mortified.
Right. And the way like I told you before, I absolutely despise mass media.
Yes.
So that goes out to CNN, MSNBC, WOIO, whoever it may be.
Yeah.
I despise how it's slighted and it's one-sided. And I was watching coverage on Ferguson. First of all, before I get there, I think the coverage came so late.
So late. Now everybody's on the ground.
Now, so I was watching. Last night I tuned into CNN also. It was probably around 10 o'clock, and the word that I really hate, even though that's a strong word, but I think it's useful at this moment. I hate the word looting.
Yes.
I think that it's been so overused.
Absolutely it has.
And we already know who it's directed towards. And there is not one negative word that they're using to describe the police actions. Not even
one.
the police anymore, the National Guard's
Yes.
actions. There's not a negative. They put them on a pedestal, and that everything they do, all the tactics they use is justified. And I think we're getting away from the main issue. You also had J. Cole and Talib Kweli and Nelly, who are down there.
Yeah.
And Common, who are down there in Ferguson. David Banner, who's heavily on Twitter, who's trying to bring awareness to the situation.
Absolutely.
That they're not on CNN.
Right.
CNN don't want to see young black men fighting for the people.
Who have influence though, because that's where it comes from.
Right.
If these young men who look up to you, who enjoy your music, who know that you always have something to say, if they're paying attention in this moment, in this hour, at what you do and how you present yourself in this situation,
Right.
that's gonna turn heads. They're gonna
Right.
be like, oh well, I see J. Cole. He's rapping about the injustices that are going on and what we can do differently. He's there on the forefront. I want to do that. I want to be that. That's something I want to learn more about. How can I be involved?
Right.
CNN won't show that because that's not a bad side.
Right, because CNN knows that the fame and the notoriety of Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson and their images have been tainted. So they don't mind putting them in the
Absolutely.
forefront.
Yep.
Okay, but when people are still being held in high regard, even we know Wiz Khalifa kind of shifted the
Right.
hip-hop culture when he entered the scene, and he's performing
Yeah.
with Mike Brown on his shirt, or when Young Jeezy, who is the man,
Yes.
is performing
absolutely.
and making it known that we need to to stop this. They're not going to be on TV.
No, but I admire the fact that they do it anyway.
Yeah.
That they're not looking for that. Like, that is the furthest thing from their mind. They are aware that they do have a platform. They do have a fan base. They do have people who look up to them. So the moves they make and how they even move in silence, you know, it affects people. People see that. They're aware of that. I like that they use that to their advantage, but they don't take advantage of that. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just I applaud the celebrities who've come out and said something, but I do want to get back to what you mentioned about Robin Williams. He was great. I do not take anything away from the legacy that he created. There are, movies that I can think of off the top of my head that I love of his.
Right.
But the reality is, and I posted this, the very first post I put up before I even knew I was going to do this, said it was a tweet. I said, a lot of people are posting about Robin Williams' death, but don't even know the half of what's going on with Mike Brown.
Haven't even acknowledged it.
That was the same day that Robin Williams took his life. Let's call it what it is. I'm sorry. People get offended by that. They get upset. They get enraged. They're, angered.
But it is what it is.
Mike Brown didn't have a choice in losing his life. Robin Williams, with everything that he was going through, did.
Right.
And he did what he did.
Yeah.
And you're putting up posts and images and, all this other stuff, celebrities alike. And it's like, where are your focuses? I want to shake some people. Like, you don't care about this?
Yeah.
This shouldn't just be one person's issue or a few people's issue in Ferguson. This is our issue
This is a
as
world
community.
issue.
Yes.
It's a world issue. It's a
It
world
absolutely
issue.
is.
And just how we fight for the situation in Ferguson, I think that flip side, we should also fight for situations that's going on the other side of the world.
Absolutely.
That's targeting not myself immediately, but when I hear women are being stoned to death, it makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
When I see kids are being murdered in cold blood, when kids are being kidnapped from their schools and their beds and places that they are seeking peace, or when people are running up on mountains to get away from genocide.
Yeah.
I think that should be bigger than a celebrity who committed suicide. And this is no shade, because I know people who have, my mother dealt with depression. So I know how big of an effect it can have on the person dealing with it and the people around it.
Right.
And I think that if you have faced any type of tribulation in your life, it is, which all people have.
Absolutely.
It is your duty, not your right, it is your duty as a human to voice it.
Yeah. Yes.
I feel like we have become too complacent, and our focus has been transitioned to other things.
Yes.
And those other things meaning quote unquote success. Who's to say what success is? I think that's a very vague and subjective term. So it is our duty as humans to become everybody, regardless of race, religion, creed, to become a part of this fight.
Yes.
I think you are doing an amazing job at organizing and demonstrating what unity is and what it takes to be prevalent in this community and actually do, because that is a action word.
Yes.
You are doing, and I definitely thank you for being you. I want to extend my hand in the hand of my company and helping you with whatever you need help with, and just fighting with you. I think it's my honor. It's been my pleasure communicating with you today, and this has been an awesome conversation.
Now we have a hashtag going, hashtag SEP as in Paul, T as in time, 6, C as in cat, T as in Tom, A. So September 6th, call to action. We're also still using the hashtag National Moment of Silence 14, hashtag Cleveland, because it's very vital that people are aware of what's going on right here.
Right.
But with the call to action on September 6th, we will be bringing to light what the local issues are, what we need to be looking into right here in our own community, what we want to see happen, what changes need to occur, and how we can actually take the steps to do that. Again, I'm aware it won't happen overnight, but we need to start planning. We need to start doing. We need to get in someone's office, someone's face, someone's email inbox,
Right.
and say, hey, these are the issues that we have collectively, not just myself, but these other 100 people, these other couple hundred people,
Right.
and this is what we want to see done about it.
Right.
We're not going to forget about Ferguson, but right now we need to shift the focus a little bit more on what's going on around us to
Right.
help on a global level, to help
Right.
on a national level, to help us ensure that every state does not have to worry about the unfortunate state that they're in right now in
Right.
Ferguson.
Right, and I think it's important for everybody to understand that Ferguson is not an isolated
No.
event. It's happened. I will argue that it's happened in every major
So,
city.
yeah.
Once again, I definitely want to thank you for taking the time out to
Thank you for being here.
meet
Thank
with
you
me.
for wanting to talk about this great cause. It's unfortunate while we're here, but at the same time, we're not gonna just sit back because of how unfortunate it is,
Right.
how bad the situation may be, how sad we are.
Right.
We're gonna use that to propel us forward, to be unified. Let's all move as one, and make sure that we are heard. And again, the
Right.
next step is this call to action on September 6th. You can also follow the National Moment of Silence 14
Okay.
at NMOS14 on Twitter.
Okay.
We're looking into starting other pages on different social networks. We'll be having a website coming soon as well. But for now, anything that comes from there is directly associated with this National Moment of Silence. Be on the lookout if you're not from Cleveland of what you can do in your own city as well. Because, again, that call to action on the 6th will be simultaneous like the National Moment of Silence was, but it'll also be shifted toward focusing on what's going on in your own city, your own community.
Okay. Well, you heard it first, guys. September 6th, call to action right here, Cleveland, Ohio. The exact time will be broadcasted soon. So you make sure you follow Miss Briana.
Yes.
Make sure you follow her. And make sure, like as she just said, that you go on Twitter, that you go on Instagram, you go on Facebook, and you get the word out with these hashtags. Okay? I am Brittany Brown, CEO and founder of EMS, and I'll see you soon.